Let's go ahead and transition to the Cowboys' division rival, the Eagles. It seemed like last year they were loaded with weapons with Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, Nelson Aguilar. There's a lot of hype around J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Now we're looking at the Eagles like, man, they need weapons. We all saw what happened to them at the end of last season. Their top two receivers this year were tight ends. And they were just hurting on the offensive side of the ball. Carson Wentz absolutely was putting the team on his back. So, Steph, they've got Alshon Jeffrey right now, who's got a lot of trade rumors around him. He actually has close to a $16 million cap hit for 2020. They got Deshaun Jackson, who missed most of the season, Nelson Aguilar, who's a free agent now, and then J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Greg Ward, who actually stepped in pretty well there towards the end of last season. They have $43 million in cap space, and they have a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick towards the back middle of each of those rounds. So, Steph, tell me, what do you think the Eagles do? What's their best plan of attack going into the offseason?
If I'm them, I'm trading Alshon, and it seems like Alshon doesn't want to be there anymore either, just based on the trade rumors that we've heard so far. I love a guy like Henry Ruggs. If Deshaun Jackson leaves, retires, gets cut, I don't know what his situation is. I need to dig into that a little bit more. I know Nelson Aguilar is a free agent. I'm not sure if they resign him. There's a lot of interesting turnover that could happen in the Eagles wide receiving core. I like a Henry. I said the Henry Ruggs pick. I also like a CeeDee Lamb pick. Maybe if they get him at the 21st overall pick, maybe he falls a little bit in that first round. I think he could be a great pickup for them. They need one of these big guys. I don't know if at 19th on that leaderboard in cap space, just $43 million, and they need to re-sign some guys as well. I don't know if they have the ability to go get a big name. Maybe they get more of a low-key name like Alan Lazard, a guy like that who could come in, maybe fill in for Jeffrey, and just in terms of the physique and the fit and the scheme. I'm not comping those two, but yeah, this one's pretty puzzling to me. I don't see a clear direction that they could take.
Yeah, it's tricky. There's so many moving parts, and we saw those moving parts last season with. Each week it seemed like you jumble up the group and pick three of them out of a hat, and that's who's out on the field. So $43 million of cap space. We talked about Alshon Jeffrey's cap hit. If they're able to find a trade suitor for Alshon and clear that, I think it's $16 million off of their books, they're in play for another one of these top receivers. They shed Alshon, and they're in play for Amari Cooper. They're in play for guys like A.J. Green. And interestingly enough, they've been linked to Amari Cooper in a lot of the press that I've read. A lot of people think if Amari leaves Dallas, he's going to want to go play with another good, young, mobile quarterback. When you think about it, Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott have very similar skill sets. He's going to be the clear-cut number one there. They're always a contender, and they might pay him the money that he wants that the Cowboys might not be able to do. So that's really interesting, but I love what you said about the draft. I love those names you threw out. I think if CeeDee Lamb falls to them, that would be an absolute steal for Philadelphia. But I think they might address it in two ways. I think similar to the Colts, they might kind of overkill it at the receiver spot. They might see what happened last season and be like, we do not want this happening again. But one last name I want to throw out for Philly that I think is actually a really good fit is Robbie Anderson. And again, he's kind of similar to the role that Deshaun Jackson holds, but I don't really know what Deshaun Jackson's situation is. He was hurt most of last season. It feels like he's going to be back, but I don't know if they really trust that at this point, or maybe they want a younger guy to go alongside him, get both of the burners on the outsides. But Robbie Anderson, to me, makes a lot of sense. You get him on the outside. You got Ertz and Goddard underneath. That could be a really, really good core there. And really open up some things for the passing game at multiple levels. It could open up things for Miles Sanders on the ground. So I'd keep an eye on Robbie Anderson. I think I'd like to see him stay in green, but this time in Eagles green.
Deshaun Jackson is 33 years old, coming off I believe a abdominal injury, which something like that, part of your core, that affects all facets of your game. In his prime, D-Jax was running 4.3 40s. I don't know if he's still at that level, and that's his main utility. So I could see them, easily stepping away from him. We might have all brand new names, at least at the 1 and 2 wide receiver spot for the Eagles.